Alright, Robo Taminas, I gathered you here because you too are the head security here in LumberJillville. And with Jill-O-Ween right around the corner, we need to be ready to fight. We need to train.
Why are you dressed like a Comic-Con cosplayer? Oh, don't worry, that is how he always dresses.
That's not true, is it? Either way, I had to bring Aaron A.S.H back, not only in honor of today's figure review of Nikki A.S.H, but also because I needed to channel my inner superhero strength. You see, Robo Tamina 2, I know you're kind of new here, but just to let you know, every Jill-O-Ween month, there's some demonic character that always tries to overtake LumberJillville.
Really? Yes, Demon Lana was year 1. Then last year, I eviscerated Demon Trish with my laser vision. I made her head explode like a water balloon.
Yeah, no, that's actually exactly what happened. In fact, Demon Trish's head exploded kind of all on my face. But either way, we need to train like superheroes, and training starts now. Cue the montage music! No, 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 no! Yeah, okay, I think that concludes the training for today. For one, because I have to review Basic 135 Nikki A.S.H. And for two, because y'all kind of did horrible and exploded our test dummy. Hey y'all, welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. Now before we get started, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to LumberJillville Wrestling Figures for a first look at all feature women's wrestling figures like today's. So I am super excited to review this WWE Basic Series 135 Nikki A.S.H. Now in all honesty, I was really hoping we'd get an elite of her with this character. But the basic does look pretty cool, so without further ado, let's take a closer look and dive in. Alright, so starting off with the packaging here. Now, as much as I don't like that new Elite style packaging, the cardboard is real flimsy and cheap. I can't stand it. Here, I think it works fine. You know, it doesn't feel thinner than previous basics, but on top of that, I really do like the red and black theme on these basics. I think it makes them real appealing. I also like this blue stripe, the single blue stripe that goes along the side that has the series number at the top. I think that's real classy. I love how it looks. We have this nice open window here, and obviously we have a nice large image of Nikki A.S.H. I love it. Now moving it to the back here, we have her signature moves at the top, and we also have her classified as a brawler. That would have been cool if they added, like, classified as a superhero or almost superhero. And then we have the rest of the series. So let's open it up and take a closer look, and this will be a quick unboxing here. So let's just, rah! There we go. WWE Basic Series 135, Nikki A.S.H. This attire was worn a lot during this gimmick, but the most notable moment was on the July 19th edition of Monday Night Raw, where Nikki would cash in her Money in the Bank contract and pin an exhausted Charlotte Flair to win the Raw Women's Championship. Alright, so overall my first impressions of this figure, I mean, I'll be honest with y'all, I can't stop smiling. This figure is so much fun, and I love when I can add a unique women's wrestling figure to my collection, and this figure definitely classifies as unique. I love that. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I am extremely disappointed that the first Nikki A.S.H figure wasn't an elite. I mean, this would have been a perfect figure to have an elite form, and because this character is released in basic form, there are some things it's missing that we'll cover. But either way, this figure looks like a lot of fun. Now let's take a closer look at the details. Alright, so as far as the face scan, face sculpt, and hair sculpt goes, now these are all brand new, and I love it. And it looks great, and I'm so glad that they did that, especially because as far as Nikki's previous figures, you know, we go back to Basic 111, or before that, Elite 66, and they really did not capture her likeness well, but here, it looks just like her, and there's definitely a lot of attention to detail and care put into this sculpt and scan. I think it looks amazing. I love that it's got a nice bright smile there, and even if you take this mask off, I think it looks just like her, right? Now, talking about that mask, it is a sculpted piece, and I'm so glad that the mask is sculpted on there. I was worried that it was just going to be painted on, but the mask looks excellent. I love it. I love that the little gold butterfly logo is printed on there between the eyes. And I also love the little detail of the dark circles around her eyes, or the dark paint that's printed on there. Because I can attest, you know, in my intro there, I had dark paint around my eyes. So when I put the mask on, it looked a little better, and my eyes are still burning from that. But either way, that's a nice little detail that they added there. Now, this hair sculpt is a new hair sculpt for her, and it also looks excellent. Now, we are going to do a comparison between this figure, Basic 111, and also Elite 66. But as far as the face sculpt, face scan, and hair sculpt goes, I think they knocked it out of the park here. Alright, so moving on down to the body sculpt and the attire, I think they did a great job here as far as the body sculpt goes. You know, I think they made all the right part choices that resemble Nikki. I think it's awesome. And you'd think that'd be an easy thing for them to do, but there's a lot of women's basics out there that they have questionable part choices, but here they did a good job. Now, speaking about the attire, so this is a women's wrestling basic, and with that, we usually don't get a whole lot of sculpting in the attire itself, which kind of works here because it's a very tight attire, but it kind of doesn't because it is missing some key pieces. Now, the first thing I noticed is the skin tone is a paler skin tone, which is accurate, and it looks great. I really like that. On her upper arm, she has a blue armband painted on. Now, she does have these gauntlets that are a rubber piece. Now, if you boil the hand, pull the hand off, they will be removable, but they do stay on there unless you do that. But it's definitely nice to have these sculpted, molded gauntlets there. Now, the top has blue and gold painted on. Now, I say gold, but it's kind of like a mustard yellow, in my opinion. You know, I am colorblind, but it doesn't seem like a metallic gold to me, and I really wish it was. So it's kind of like a mustard yellow with that butterfly logo, the lightning bolts, the trim around the top there, and then on the sides we have little details there. Now, that's another thing you'll notice in the back. Obviously, with her attire, the blue kind of goes down. It almost looks like a thong. In this, it just has the whole backside covered in blue, so that's a little inaccurate. But yeah. Okay, so the legs down here are a metallic type gold painted on. I really wish they would have used that same paint color on the top, but either way, the legs look great there. The knee pads do have the little logo painted on there with the little lightning bolts. And then the boots and kick pads are just a solid gold. Okay, so the biggest omission, obviously, is no cape. No cape. But in my opinion, I'd rather have no cape than have them painted on, to be honest with you. That would have been like, ugh. And you'll see with Basic 111, you know, when they paint layers on, that drives me nuts. That's like a pet peeve of mine. So, I mean, I think for what they had to work with here, I think they did an excellent job with her attire. But I do wish that gold on the top wasn't like a mustard yellow. I wish it had a metallic or a glitter shine to it, because I think it would have really stood out. But for what it is, I think they did a pretty solid job here, especially with the body part choices and even the paint application. Alright, so now let's do a little side-by-side comparison between all of Nikki Cross's or Nikki A.S.H's figures released so far by Mattel. So on the far left, we obviously have Basic 135 we're looking at today, Nikki A.S.H. Now in the middle two, look how annoyed these two look. They look like they do not want to be here for this figure comparison. But this is Basic Series 111. The gray pants is the chase. The pink and blue stripes is the regular version. Yeah, they look so annoyed with me right now. And on the far right, we have Elite Series 66, which definitely has a lot going on there, which we'll unmask here. So taking a look at all of these, I mean, they're drastically different, right? But what I love the most and what really stands out is the scale. And that basic 135 Nikki A.S.H, that scale is awesome. It is perfect. You know, she is on the shorter side, and it really does stand out and look good. Now, as far as these Basic Series 111s go, I mean, these figures suck, in my opinion. I thought the face looked okay. I think it looks a lot like her. It's a weird expression that they gave her. And I know the hair is kind of like the, oh, crazy, you know, Nikki Cross crazy hair. But the hair just looks blah. But yeah, I mean, they just look so, like, snotty and, like, over this figure review that we're doing today. I'm not a big fan, but I do think this was the best likeness before Nikki A.S.H. Now, as far as the attire goes, you know, I would go with the regular version if you are going to get this. It pairs nicely with Alexa Bliss and those women's tag team titles. It's kind of what this represents when they're a team. Now, this one is, this is one of the worst figures I've ever reviewed. Now, talking earlier about the cape, I hate when they paint layers on the women's attire. And obviously here, you know, they tried painting layers here. She wears like a tight vest on top here, and they tried painting it on, and it just looks crappy. It looks horrible, and on top of that, she has a Victoria's Secret dimpled belly button, which it's actually smoothed over on Nikki A.S.H, so that's nice. But yeah, so these two figures, I mean, there's no way around it. They suck. They're not very good, in my opinion. Now, this Elite, I think it looks awesome like this. However, in my opinion, when you take off all of this mumbo-jumbo, I have to ask, who is that? I don't think that looks like Nikki Cross at all, in my opinion. And I mean, it's not a huge deal because they give you all these accessories that you can put it on. It's nice, a little Sanity Nikki Cross. But yeah, I have a real issue with that scan. I don't really think it looks like her at all. But this figure as a whole has a lot of really cool molding and different texture in her attire there. And it's really, really cool. But yeah, I mean, obviously the best Nikki Cross is this Elite if you mask it up. But if you look at all her figures, as far as the best representation of her as an individual, I love this Nikki A.S.H. I think it's amazing. Now, obviously, this is a drastically different gimmick than the unhinged Sanity Nikki Cross, but I think these two are kind of must-haves for your women's wrestling figure collection. Alright, so just a quick reminder, my basic scoring scale isn't a scale of its own, separate from my Elite scoring scale. Now, that being said, I give WWE Basic Series 135, Nikki Almost Superhero, an overall score of a 9 out of 10. I love this figure for what it is. I think it's great. It's so much fun. It's probably my favorite Basic of the year, and I really do think it's a strong candidate for the LJV Jill-O Award for Women's Basic of the Year in 2022 so far. I mean, I think it is tremendous. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for y'all. I'm a little ticked off that Nikki A.S.H didn't get an Elite released first, right? This would be a perfect figure to be released in Elite form. I mean, how much more toyetic can you get? And it is frustrating that we didn't get her released in Elite form. They could have done so much with it, including a soft goods cape and, But for what it is, for what we have here, I think it's an excellent basic. Now, with these women's basics, they're either hits or misses a lot of times. You know, if you want to see a good example of a miss, look at Basic 111 and Nikki Cross. You know, rewind the review and I'll show you some women's basics that they really didn't put a lot of effort into. But there are some hits that, even with cost-cutting measures in place, they put a lot of attention to detail and care into the figure. And I really do think they did that here. There are some great features here, such as that brand new sculpt and skin of the face looks excellent. I love the smile. It looks just like her. The sculpted on mask is great. The attire is very toyetic. They did a great job here with all the colors. I do wish the top was a metallic gold, but it still looks good. And we even have these molded on gauntlet pieces. So there's definitely a lot to love about this figure. I just really wish it was released in Elite form first. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For our first look at all future women's wrestling figure reviews, make sure to hit subscribe and become an official resident of LJV today. Also, head on over to ringsidecollectibles.com and use coupon code LJV at checkout to save 10% on your next women's wrestling figure order. Now, with that being said, there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of women's wrestling figures coming to LJV very soon. A lot of reviews in the works, including Jill-O-Ween, which is coming next month. Now, my next review is going to be WWE Championship Showdown Series 11, Becky and Bianca. So stay tuned to LJV. This will be coming out very, very soon. With that being said, I truly appreciate y'all watching, and have a great night, y'all.